All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the BTS Series EU. My name's AnneeDroid. I'm going to be your caster. I'm joined once again by the lovely Mad Kings. Mad Kings, what are your thoughts about this first game?
I mean, friends, they're already switching it up, so it should be interesting. They banned out the IO
Absolutely.
instead of banning the Shadow Demon, which they did last game. I thought that was because they wanted to secure either the Elder Titan or the Shadow Demon, but they just switched it up further. They give the Oracle away to Flipside once again, and they go for the Mirana plus Naga Siren. Very, very open draft from friends, though, because Mirana and Naga Siren, both of them can be supports, both of them can be cores in different lanes, so they don't really show anything with these two heroes. They just show that it's going to be potentially some split push and not like this like concentrated team fight which they had in the last game. That's the only card they're showing right now.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, mostly in the NA scene since TI, it's going to be mid Mirana and safe lane Naga Siren. But like you mentioned, if things get quirky, if the draft goes strange, both of these heroes can support, can be versatile. I mean, we've seen off lane Miranas, safe lane Miranas. It's definitely one of those heroes that does not corner you into a specific strategy. I mean, the most common way, mid Mirana, rush Ags, nuke like you mean it. But flip side, they're going to be going again with a very defensive, calm, collected draft. Oracle picked up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Faceless Void. Now here's kind of a wild card. In the EU scene, still sometimes run as that offlaner, but in NA, almost always run as a safe laner. What do you think we're going to see here?
As far as I recall, Sidoi is the one who plays Faceless Void the most in this team as well, so I would put my bank on the safe lane Void. We will see if Slasher goes for the axe once again, because like I said, they usually pick up the axe for him. They may want to wait for it until maybe fourth pick or fifth pick if they want to show the card as the Faceless Void safe lane. However, the Chronosphere at least will not be the biggest card this game, I feel like, because you're playing against a Naga sign, whether it's a core Naga or a safe or like a support Naga, you will always have the song available, so one of the best tools to just completely mitigate the Chronosphere's effect.
All right, now OD picked up. What a monster here. Flip side, definitely looking to take things a little bit late. OD can have some issues in the laning phase, especially if it is OD versus Mirana. His farm's going to be not exactly perfect. But late game, Void scales phenomenally. OD turns into a right click machine. Then you're going up against late game Naga, though. What's the appropriate way to deal with that?
I mean, OD on paper is good against the Naga, but the thing is, he doesn't deal well with illusions. So you can say it in both ways, right? It's good if you can catch the right one, but if you just go around and hit illusions, it's not going to be that easy for the OD to deal with. The Faceless Void doesn't clear illusions that well either, so I don't know if this is like an attempt to bait the core Naga, because it already just seems so good to have a core Naga at this point.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those heroes you may just have to try to run over before she gets that momentum, before she finds that radiance. But picking up the Void OD is not necessarily an early game push strat. What would you like to see Flipside pick up in order to be able to get online fast enough to counter the Naga?
They definitely need an offlane who can try and make it work, unless they want to just send the Faceless Void to the offlane. I guess that will be the case since the axe got picked up by friends. They don't want to allow Slashlo to get that, so safe laner who can deal with illusions well. Uh, that's a tough one, I guess. I mean, the Sven is okay if they want to like hit that mid-game timing where they are like super strong with the OD, having a 4-star, perhaps a Hurricane Pike, a Blink on the Void, and then Sven with Echo Saber, Blink, Armlet. Perhaps that could be a pretty strong timing window they could be looking for. And like you said, it fits the playstyle of the Void and OD. They want to run over the Knack before he becomes a huge problem, right? So I think something like the Sven could be in their mind. Maybe they could go super late with an anti-mage as well. But typically I don't like anti-mage against Axe, so we'll see. It depends how greedy they want to be, right?
Yeah, I think greed's going to be the name of the game here. Friends with their axe, I do like it. I like you mentioned it gives them a lot of control. Having a jungler is always super beneficial in this meta because as long as you keep decent control of all three of your lanes during the laning phase, all of a sudden another player joins the party, farmed up, ready to go, didn't have to struggle through last hitting and whatnot. But we'll see how much use they're going to get out of that axe. Ogre Magi picked up really survivable lane support. He's great at playing far forward. Because of that, I'm almost assuredly saying this is a safe lane Void, because Ogre and Void do so well in lane together. Ogre stands very up front, he's the bully, he's the frontliner, and Faceless Void just sits back and farms. I've seen that combo probably 4 or 5 times in the last week.
Yeah, I like the Ogre pickup. It's a very tanky support hero, like you said. It's amazing against the Axe because of the damage over time, and like you said, it enables the Void a lot earlier than you otherwise would be because of the Bloodlust. So it makes him farm fast. That makes him hit a little bit better. So I like it. Safe lane Void probably, like you said, will be the case. So flip side with the last pick, if they go for an off lane against an anti-mage, I mean, there's a lot of offlane that's already removed, so the go-to ones would maybe be something like a Bat Rider if they want to just get some heavy control. I'm not really sure what else they could be looking for.
Yeah, the problem with the Bat Rider is you kind of need someone to go in and follow up. I'd love to see that Sven, but I don't think we're going to get treated to that. Hopefully we'll get it sorted out. Last ban coming out from Flipside. Who else do they want to take out here? Assuming there still needs to be a secondary support, because I am banking on mid-Mirana Cornaga.
Well, I mean, mid-Mirana safe lane anti-mage? I mean, unless friends really just want to go super green and just pretty much laugh at Flips and say, hey, you can't beat us.
Dude, they totally can. Put Naga in the off lane, Axe jungles, and then you get yourself a really nice savey support like a Winter Wyvern. I can see this working out for friends, but if they wanted to go the safe route, then maybe they do have anti-mage.
Safe lane, safe lane anti-mage and then Naga support. It still works out perfectly though, because it stops the Void from being useful with the Chronospheres if you always have a Naga in the backlines with a song ready. The anti-mage works pretty well against the Void. It works amazing against the OD. You know, if he's not lucky with his passive, suddenly he's on half mana and bam, you're dead, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the ban out on Disruptor, I think Flipside are kind of on my brainwave of just go ultra greedy, farm the shit out of your cores, and see what happens mid-game. Last 5 seconds here. Gonna dip into the reserve time for this last pick, because there's a lot to counter. There's the beefiness of Ogre Magi in lane, there's OD scaling, there's Faceless Void having those big old Chronospheres, and Oracle to save. Gosh, there's just a lot friends have to deal with this one little hero. Hopefully they'll pull it off.
Well, it could be, like you said, a support hero, and then you have them around the mid lane. That makes a lot more sense, because they need someone who can get some control. And Jakiro Naga Siren as a support duo, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but both of them, they are pretty strong in the lane. Naga Siren is a pretty tanky hero, has a good amount of armor. The ensnare is good early on, as you can get that 2-second stun duration. The Jakiro can spam spells quite a lot in the early game, so it kind of fits the same role as the Ogre, you know, very tanky, very annoying in the lane, very strong, can just go up and, you know, do whatever to most heroes. So I like it, and the Bat Rider will be the
nice
final
call.
pickup from Flipside, so in the end they go for the Bat. It makes sense, but at the same time, it's not fun to be a Bat Rider against an Anti-Mage or a Naga, because if you go in with a Blink and get a last off and then suddenly you're slept up by the Siren, it could be a little bit dangerous, right?
Man, I was playing a couple of pubs the other day, and there was this one offlane Jakiro on the other team that annoyed the shit out of me, who wasn't even always want to fly. So we'll see how effective Jakiro is going to be at just keeping these heroes at bay, keeping them burning, forcing them to use up their regen. So hopefully some decent ganks. What kind of power spikes are we looking at in terms of when teams want to fight, when they want to come online?
I think definitely Flipside is the ones who want to fight around the level 6 mark on the Void. They want to just, you know, use the Chronosphere to get kills. They want to use the Bat Rider's Lasso to get kills repeatedly. So depending on how fast Slasher can get his Blink is pretty much the enabler for the team. And they just play around that in the mid game and try and starve out the Anti-Mage, because clearly friends, they're the ones who want to just sit back and relax and farm. I expect them to go for a dual lane, perhaps, with the Axe Jakiro, just so they can free up some space for the Anti-Mage, and then the Naga Siren can be the safe lane support. He can stack up the woods with his solutions and, you know, prepare the woods for either the Axe or the Anti-Mage. Like, they have multiple heroes who can clear the stacks.
Dude, Jakiro's model is absolutely gross, dude. It's terrible. I'm in cinematic on it. It looks like just a bunch of polygons had a weird kid. All right.
That's some intense hate right there.
I love Jakiro, one of my favorite heroes in the game, but he looks like a big mess. All right. So, any predictions you're thinking in terms of lane of wow, Void is just all up in it right now. Of where we're gonna see not necessarily just first blood, but who's gonna really run away with their lane, who has an easier time, who's gonna be really pressed up against a wall to get their farm.
I think the eyes will be pretty much on the top lane with Slasher plus Roger on the Ogre. I imagine Ogre will be in the top lane to begin with just to try and enable the Battle Rider to get perhaps a kill, perhaps just a lot of farm in the off lane. Because like I said, they rely on Slasher to get a good blink timing, so they want him to get as much as possible. Either they do that by helping him lane, or they stack like heavily in the jungle just to prepare him for like when he needs to fall back and just clear jungle camps.
Man, there's some pretty interesting cinematics right now. I'm poking around. But yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on these supports to really make sure their cores are able to get online. I mean, Anti-Mage is such a risky pickup here. Obviously, he can farm extremely quickly. He can have great participation in team fights. But there's a decent amount of lockdown here. You've got your Astral Imprisonment. You've got Ogre's Hard Stun. You've got the Batrider Lasso. What does Yoku have to do to keep himself safe?
He pretty much just have to avoid stuff, honestly, because the only way he can survive in a team fight is if they have the Naga Siren Sleep come out at the right time, come out when the lasso hits or the Chronosphere hits, because himself, like, he can't itemize so he can deal with the Chrono, he can maybe itemize for the Bad Rider's lasso, but he will always be locked down one way or the other, so he needs his team to be, like, enabling him for him, and then his way of doing a lot in this game is pretty much just, be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 gold ahead of the enemy team, and then he's good to go, right?
Alright, now we've got our Axe, Afterlife. Once he climbs this cliff, he's going to be perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Vanscore could go ahead and level up that Fortune's End to allow them to catch up, but looks like Afterlife gets a free pass. Either way, we do have a Sentry.
Path to go.
Sentry dropped up top, was dropped in by the Ogre. What purpose is this Sentry going to do?
The Ogre in the top lane?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they just expect the lane wall. They wanted to pop it down early so the enemy didn't see them, but typically you wait. Like, you want to wait to see what the enemy does before you put down sentries, and as you can see, they don't place the ward in the spot they were hoping for, so it's just gonna be, sitting there. Just a little sentry ward sitting there for a couple of minutes, having no fun at all.
Alright, so a couple people are excited about this. Undershock Marana. Very, very skilled player right now on the hands of this cat lady. Lane farm, should it be okay, or is OD going to be contesting a lot?
I think it's a Mirana favorite lineup, because the OD, like you said, it's a hero that has a slow start. Like, the Astral Imprisonment makes you able to be a little bit annoying, and you can deny and take some last hits, like, safely once in a while, but and that being said, Mirana can just use his arrows for last hits, and he should be fine in most cases. Like, you can see Tamerwald, he's just trying to be a little bit annoying, poke a little bit, and then Mirana will go back to just getting the last hits he wants.
Alright, now top lane, we're going to have a bit of a bully fest here. Shotchlo could be in some serious trouble. Roger spraying out the hot garbage, just getting that ignite damage going on. There's some decent napalm stacks onto Always Want to Fly. The problem is following up and getting that damage to amount to something. But pretty surprised to see Roger spending some time here in the top lane. Thought he'd be sticking with the Void, but guess they're going to partner him up with Oracle.
Yeah, the Axe will get a little bit of farm in the bottom lane, but definitely the Ogre can do a lot more work with the Battle Rider compared to just sitting down bottom and, secure the Void's farm. You can see Slasher, he needs to be careful though, because he cannot afford dropping down in this lane. Like, they want him to get a lot of work done. He needs level 2, level 3 before he can actually start putting pressure though, because without the Firefly, Napalm is crazy, but if you can't burn them, then it doesn't really matter, right?
Alright, so Shotchlo, getting a little bit of farm for himself, but Batrider is certainly not stacking up. Anti-Mage, though, his farm's being kept under control now as Batrider ticks over to level 2, going in for the Firefly, 5 stacks, 6 stacks of Napalm, onto No Fear, but Shotchlo being slowed down so much, he ain't got no boots. Just the Windlands, 7 stacks of napalm. Look at him go. Oh, the first blood. Batrider drops in. They do take the Naga out with him, but man, Bat really wanted to get away with his life there. Roger could be in a little bit of trouble. Again, he's beefy. He's hard to take down. Jakiro doesn't have that ice path, so he should be able to get back under tower.
Yeah, that was perfect with Friends. It's a 3-2. You go for one-on-one trade, but you get the first blood on the side of Friends, which is always going to be very nice. Slasher does get the kill on the end, but I think he was just overextending a little bit too much. Once he got slowed by the Jakiro's dual breath, he should realize that he's not fast enough to get the kill without definitely dying.
Yeah, I mean, he had his eyes on the prize. He knew he could get down the Naga. The problem was Yoku was right behind him, continuing to chip away, and he just fell too quickly. So we'll have to see how the bat responds to this. Meanwhile, Ogre just kind of goes and wanders away, kills himself to a neutral creep after buying out, and Shochlo left to fly all alone, going up against Always Wanna Fly. I mean, I think the problem here is that Batrider only has one head as a flying creature, and Jakiro has 2 heads. That just makes it a harder lane.
I mean, doesn't he have 2? It's a man riding a bat.
Yeah, but
technically
the
2 heads.
mount itself, the thing putting out the damage, dude, that's only
it's a
got
weak
one
mount.
head.
It's a weak mount. That's what this is.
Alright, so
Weakling.
Roger gonna get slowed down by this dual breath. Depending on how deep Anti-Mage wants to dive, this could be pretty detrimental. Yoku gonna be burning out a lot, has 3 stacks, gonna be walking through the fire. Can Anti-Mage get out? Blink in 4 seconds he goes, he wants himself up. I don't think he gets out of this. Yoku, he's got 5 stacks of napalm, but is able to blink away. Shochlo, now wanting to find something for his trouble, is gonna get slowed up by that burning breath. Always Wanna Fly, looking for something. Roger ends up getting the Fire Blast onto the Naga, stopping out the damage for now, but Batrider, it seems like he's just a little bit, ADD. Like, he always wants to go in for these kills. He sees so many low targets, but just can't end up getting the focus, can't get the chase, and secure his kill.
Yeah, I mean, this lane, typically you would see a lot more action for the Batrider, but both of these support heroes, they're just so tanky. The Anti-Mage, he has that blink, which makes it almost impossible to kill him. And the Jakiro slows as well as just the damage output with the dual breath spam, the liquid fire spam. It's just so much, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, he's got no mana. He's got one little fairy fire. He's going to try his luck on that, but one more slap. Man, this Jakiro, he's going to be eating up a fairy fire of his own. This time he will end up burning down Shochlo, finally successful in those napalm firefly engages. But a net coming out. Shochlo, oh man, he just gets a little bit too greedy. The flame break to keep him back and keep him safe. Yoku not going to blink under tower for that, even with 8 magic stick charges. So Shochlo accepts that stalemate, flies in a salve to himself, and we'll see what's going to be going down here. Is Afterlife going to get picked on a little bit by Vanscore, but should end up just completely fine.
Yeah, I think if you compare the 2 lanes, like, it's a 2 for 2 right now. Afterlife is actually getting a surprising amount of levels in the bottom lane. Like, he's solo. He's been solo the whole time. He's not received any help from his team. And he's almost level 5, he's getting bullied. I'm not sure why Vanscore just keeps spamming that, honestly.
Alright, up top we got Shochlo once again with the Firefly, trying to get some of these neutrals. They're burning quickly, but we'll see if Roger can actually keep everyone away, because Yoku definitely wants some of this. Now, meanwhile, mid lane, Mirana was able to leap forward and get the kill on OD. We saw him getting a little bit low earlier, sending Mirana into that Astral, but gosh, I'm so afraid of missing the action up here, because it's just been a death fest going forward.
Yeah, this action in the top lane is definitely going crazy. The OD getting killed in the mid lane, a nice little solo kill from Undershot, guys. That will tip the skills. You can see last hit-wise, the OD was actually a little bit ahead of them around because he has so many denies, but a solo kill is always going to grant you so much.
And 15 denies. That Mirana's had a tough time finding stuff, but she's still feeling good in terms of her right click. She's still getting the farm that she needs. She's got the bottle, got the Wraith Band. Most likely going to be flying in an Aquila at some point, and then starting work on that Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, we also see Tamer Wild going for the New Age build on the OD, which is max Astral Imprisonment early on. Just go for the control instead of going for the... Well, before when OD was popular, you just maxed up Arcane up early on and just right-click, but it's been a little bit more popular just maxing your Astral Imprisonment and just be like a control force rather than a right-clicker in the early to mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, eventually he will scale up late game and just get right-click for days. Now, Roger being a little bit annoying, trying to prevent some of these stacks from going out. But Shochlo, he's got it. He's full throttle. He wants to get something done. There's going to be the stun. Always Wanna Fly, going to be slapped out by the Oracle. Shochlo, again, just trying to burn these creeps. Roger, try to keep everyone at bay. There will be a rotation back up from the Faceless Void, who does have his Chrono, but going to be a big first use. If he can catch anyone in it, great, but if it's just a Jakiro, not sure how worthwhile that is. Oh, man.
Oh, the Jakiro got 2 of those big creeps, so that just makes it so difficult.
Yeah, that liquid fire proc definitely worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if they can at least secure the stack, maybe it's, like, okay with that rotation, but they lost most of that stack. The Faceless Void use a TP for the top lane. They don't get any kills, and they lose the OD in the mid lane to Mirana once again. Axe is free farming in the bottom lane, just dropping his Tranquil Boots in front of the tower just because he doesn't care.
Because he can.
as he can, and he may even take this stack that they made earlier. So overall, flip side with that rotation, they have to get the tower, otherwise this is just not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, they rotated up. The Faceless Void, he's got the Chrono at the ready. The problem is really the Chrono follow-up. I don't think we talked about that too much. Aside from really your OD sitting back and right-clicking, and maybe your Batrider laying down some fire previously, there's not a whole lot of combination in the Chrono itself.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this game, the Void is pretty much just full-on a right-clicker, because the Batrider synergizes horribly with the Chronosphere. Like, it's very awkward. You pretty much have to, like, go in, lasso, lay some fire, and then Chrono afterwards. So, you know, the synergy between those two heroes is not so great. The OD's right-click is not happening either.
Sadoy with, like, 3 bashes and 4 hits.
You know, master of the bashes.
Who was it I was watching the other day that just continuously got bashes? It was ridiculous. It was Bisa playing the Void. I think he got like 80% bashes when he actually tried to engage. Alright,
No,
so
it is pseudo-random, right? So, whatever that may mean.
gotta sacrifice a live goat to the RNG. Jesus. Got it going for you. Now, Void is just kind of switched up completely. Taken in that top spot. Mirana shooting out arrows. Not gonna connect onto anything. Meanwhile, Axe. What is happening? My map is stuck. It's just dragging down. Oh god, we gotta reconnect here. Oh lordy.
Alright, well, Mirana Ultimate will be using the top lane. They're trying to find Sadoy. They may be able to get him. Oh, and that's hurtful, man. That's hurtful. They got an arrow onto Sadoy. They got a net onto him. They killed him. And now Roger will be falling down alongside him.
Oh,
so that's
god.
2 kills.
What's happening? My keyboard keeps dragging my map down unless I'm actively holding up. I can't even scroll up. Please help me.
I'm sure you did something wrong.
It's just going down. Okay, here we go. All right. Tried resetting the console. I think we fixed it. Nope. Now I can't go down. Oh lordy.
I mean, did you make your computer angry? Did you download something wrong you shouldn't have?
I don't know. I just can't hit up or down. I can go left and right just fine. This is the weirdest bug I've ever had. All right, either way, we've got our first Chrono here. Shakiro is going to be picked off. Now Yoku just going to be getting back, accepting that sacrifice. And Vanscore content to help out with his first big kill of the game. Sadoy, again, unveiling that Chronosphere. Should be pretty good.
Yeah, but overall, Sadoy, once again, he rotates into the top lane. He does get a kill for it, but he just died a second ago with the Mirana ultimate being beautifully used by friends. And overall, it just feels like Sadoy is now taking the role of an offlane Void, and as you can see, like, his net worth is being affected as the anti-mage is slowly starting to eclipse him. The anti-mage is still just trying to get that Battle Fury as a secondary item on top of his threads, so far I think Friends are having a good time. The OD is just free farming, he's pushing the mid lane alone as well, but he's been killed multiple times by the Mirana, and now in the mid lane, oh okay, he does dodge it out this time.
Mid-leap, Mirana caught in the bubble. So just going to be buying some time for himself. Undershock takes minimal damage. Halfway to the Aghanim Scepter, though. That's a pretty big power spike coming up. Once Undershock gets that, he can just jump in, dump the Starstorm onto Tame My Wild, and Tame My Wild's going to be sub-half health, most likely.
Just put down a tree. Like, I have a tree. What are you gonna do?
Dude, he's planting trees to save the environment.
Yep, I have a tree, man. You know, he's playing with the vision. He's just hiding behind it so he can't use the astral against him. That's pretty smart, but, well, you know, it's still a weird play, but I guess it works out pretty well.
Dude, he's a farmer at heart. Now, top lane, Yoku continuing to try to get some farm, but again, because he's just been partnered up the entire time, he's not getting that free farm. He's been harassed back. Jakira's pretty solid on levels, though. Already got that level 6 rockin' for him. Doesn't pick up the Macropyre, though. What do you think about that choice?
It's fine. It's a very expensive spell, and as a Jakira in this position, you just want to be a tower pusher as well as a lane control hero, which is, you know, dual breath plus his liquid fire. Those two spells will do that. He will probably keep on maxing them until he's level 8. Maybe before he gets level 8, he will get a value point in Ice Path, but Macropyre definitely isn't something he's worrying about until, like, the 10-minute, like, until he's level 10 or something like that. Undershock maybe in danger, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they bring up the Void. There's not a whole lot he can do. He just sits there and contemplates life. But that is going to be a nice free kill for the Faceless Void. Looks like he picks up that early Ring of Health, assuming it's going to be the early Linken's build we see from a lot of safe lane Voids. What do you think about that in this game?
I think it's okay because of the mana void, but that's pretty much the only spell you block this game. Typically, I would say it's bad to get Lincolns just for one spell, but it's fine on heroes like Morphling and Void because they rely on their mana regen as well, and it's a good amount of stats you get from it, so it's just one of those popular safe lane items on Void that you always just get Lincolns. Like, it's you know, it just makes you able to survive a lot smoother, so I think that's the purpose of it.
Alright, we've got a couple TPs in here. The rest of the Dire are going to Moonlight Shadow up. Looks like they are looking for a fight. They've got Afterlife now with the Blink Dagger. So Blink Axe looking to start the party going in, but the call misses now. Sadoy gets a free trial here. He's got that time walk in. He's got the Chronosphere. Mirana reveals himself. This is a dangerous game that Mirana's playing. Undershock knows there's no real follow-up from inside the Chrono. Now Roger's going to be the target here. There's going to be a nice double man call, but Tame My Wild able to go in Astral imprison up the Axe, so no damage is sprayed out. Now there's the Chrono connecting onto two, but the sleep from the Naga, everyone is paused up. No one can do a thing. Afterlife slowly burning from the napalm and the fire, but again, just going to be Radiant continuing to hammer away onto this tower. As there's going to be another leap in. Sadoy making the space, cast the time dilation. Nice little Sanity's Eclipse along with the lasso. Kills off the Axe finally. And the rest of the Radiant squad looking to continue their move in. Flame Break catches out Always Wanna Fly. He's slowed up from the napalm. Can they get the catch though? The net from the Naga flies in. Arrow not going to connect onto any heroes. Always Wanna Fly does hit the deck. So tower and 2 kills go the way of Flipside. Definitely a successful rotation for them.
I mean, it looked so smooth from Friends because it's a 4-1-5 and they kept the fight going for longer and longer and longer. They did end up losing the middle tower, but the Anti-Mage have been free from it for the whole time that fight was going on with the Battle Fury. However, losing 2 heroes is where it ended up going a little bit wrong for Friends, because once Nofi used his ultimate with the Song of the Siren on top of the Chrono, they should have just backed up instead of like trying to prolong the fight, because if you don't have that song available, you will never be able to like continue just resetting the fight. You have to take the last fight and end up losing heroes.
Alright, so we've got Ogre Magi pinged up by the Dire. He's a little bit surrounded, but again, very, very tanky, hard to get a hold of. They've got the Mirana point blank arrow, locks him in place, dumping out that Starstorm now with that Aghanim Scepter just about completed. They do get the kill on the Ogre. The rest of the Radiant heroes retreat to under the tower, but Dire definitely showing their power here.
Yeah, the Chronosphere is on cooldown as well as the Sanity's Eclipse, so they're able to take these small engagements knowing that those 2 spells will not be available. Sure, they don't have the song available on the Naga either, but it's a defensive tool this game, so it doesn't really matter for their like pick-off purposes.
I mean, when's the next big power spike coming out? Is it going to be when Mirana gets her Aghanim Scepter? Is it going to be, you know, Anti-Mage's next big item? Speaking of which, Always Wanna Fly is getting destroyed. Outworld Devourer is not having any of that Jakiro spam.
Yeah, I think definitely for the side of Friends, it's the Aghanim Scepter on the Mirana. They will continue fighting as a 4-man unit once that is completed, with the Blink as well coming up soon later on with the Mirana. And the Anti-Mage, you know, he wants to keep on farming. He's actually going for the Yasha into Mantis style, so he doesn't want to go for like the in-between item with like a Vlad's or Vanguard, which is sort of typical. He wants to be able to fight as soon as possible, I imagine, with the Manta style. I don't think Manta style is enough to fight though. I think he needs like Manta plus Basher, maybe even a BKB on top of that before he's ready. So it will be a long and slow game for Friends, whereas Flipside, you know, they want to fight the second that Sadoy has his Lincolns and they have the ultimates available. They will just keep on fighting. The OD has a Force Staff, so you know, he went for this early game focused build with a Force Staff, and then I guess he will follow it up with a Dragon Lance so he can get a Hurricane Pike later on.
Alright, initiation from Mirana mid, the Moonlight Shadow gonna be at the ready if they need to get out very quickly, but Liquid Fire being sprayed out. Jakiro has been maxing that one, so this tower should go down very quickly. OD trying to buy some time, de-aggroing the creeps, making sure that it makes it a little bit more difficult for the Dire to push, but I don't know, unless they go for a full team fight here, if they can actually mount a defense. Looks like they're trying it. They get Undershock dragged up in the lasso. And now there's going to be the Song of the Siren to break things up. Leap forward from Undershock means he will be able to get out alive. But this tower survives somehow.
A little bit of an interesting use of the song, but I guess they were worried that Flipside would just like all-out commit for the Mirana, so in case of a potential Chrono follow-up on top of the lasso, it makes sense. So, you know, to save the Mirana, they don't get the tower, but Flipside, they rotated, what, 4 heroes for that? So it doesn't really matter if you get the tower or not, as long as you don't lose heroes.
Alright, now bottom lane, Faceless Void continuing to farm up. He's still looking for that Lincoln Sphere. Hasn't found it yet. 17 minutes in, having to stop for goodies like the Poor Man's Shield, the Power Treads, and see if Afterlife wants to blink in and punish this. The tower gonna be going down, but Zadoy continues to move forward. If Afterlife can catch 2 of these guys in the blink call, that's gonna be awesome. But if you leave out Tame My Wild, then you're gonna face the wrath of the Astral Imprisonment.
Yeah, definitely. If they can get a good call, they can maybe set up for this kill, but for that to happen, they need Undershock here, and he has the Acronym Scepter ready now. They go in, they set it up. It may be a little bit too late because Undershock, he still needs to get in.
He's going forward. He's going to get stunned up by the Ogre's Fire Blast, but Batrider sitting back has got the blink at the ready. Looks like he's going to be trying to go in for something, but Afterlife keeping him at bay as they take out Roger. This Ogre Magi, he's waddling. He's going to be healed up by Vanscore, but it's going to be most likely a short life for him. He's just spraying out stuns left and right. Oracle's virtually defenseless. The net does catch out the Batrider as well. So it looks like that could be yet another pick. The Oracle is going to be getting very low. He's burning. The Purifying Flames aren't going to keep him up. Now, no fear. He's also getting quite low from Batrider's Firefly. Leap away from the Void. Should be the end of the engage unless this lucky arrow latches. Nope, just picking off a little Centaur. But either way, it's going to be a 0 for 2 engage. Friends coming out on top, and they have free range to push in this bottom lane.
Yeah, they did rotate the Anti-Mage down here for that fight, but either way, you know, they got 2 pretty easy pickoffs. They have the Acronym set already on the Mirana, so they want to be able to fight. They know that just this one item on the Mirana is more than enough for them to put a lot of pressure onto Flipside. They rotate the Anti-Mage in as well, so the OD does not want to fight when the Anti-Mage is in the fight without they can get a chrono on him, because if you start using your right clicks, you know, you start dropping down on mana, suddenly you have minus 800 mana, and you know, Mana Boy can do a lot of work on heroes like OD, right?
Right, absolutely. Now, it's going to be Afterlife and Always Wanna Fly teaming up once again, maybe looking for some picks, but splitting off now is it's going to get a little bit more difficult for Friends. Void finally has that Lincoln Sphere, so big engage spells are going to be a little bit more difficult to land, like Naga's Net and Anti-Mage's ult and whatnot, but we'll see if the next big chrono can actually land some results.
Yeah, he may even consider going for Blink so he can get those surprise chronos off, but if you do that, you bank fully on either the OD getting super big or just, you know, winning before the 35-minute mark.
Top lane, Yoku caught out, does have the Blink available, is going to be showing off his brand new flashy Manta style as he blinks away to safety over here in the side drop.
Yep, Manta style online at a good timing, so he will be fine. He gets the blink away, and he will just go down bottom, put some pressure down here. He knows that Flipside, they must have people up here, because they would never just use 1 or 2 heroes to be able to take a kill. They would always rotate at least 4 heroes, probably all 5. So it's very safe to farm the bottom area, and you can see even the tier 2 towers being pressured. The OD will rotate forward, but it feels like Flipside are the ones who's being guided around on the map, and now Sludgelow gets found, gets caught.
Yeah, there's like literally no way to live through that. Even if you had Heart and Aegis and whatnot, those heroes are mean. They're looking for a fight. And meanwhile, Yoku, depending on his pathing here, could get caught out by Tame My Wild, but he's going to take the safe road and go ahead blinking across the river. So again, easy pickoffs for Friends. Kill score is in their favor. Overall net worth is going to be sloping down pretty heavily as well. They've got to keep up this pressure though. They stop putting on the gas, and all of a sudden Faceless Void and OD can start to hit really gosh darn hard.
Yeah, we haven't seen Flipside actually find their engagements yet, as they always have to rotate when Friends is pushing. You can even see at this point, they're gathered up in the mid lane, they're not close enough to any towers to actually make something happen, and while this is happening, Yoku, he's already having the push in on the bottom tier 2, so you can see they make rotations down here. Yoku, he dodges out the engagement, he doesn't want to get caught out here, and Flipside, they just can't find anything. If they find the Anti-Mage here, that could be huge, but oh, maybe.
Ping up the small camp, he's going to go back in. TPing home should be completely fine. Now Afterlife, either going to be taking these Ancients or stacking them or doing something to them. Just making sure that the rest of his team continues to farm. It seems like Friends, I mean, they've got so many high value targets that can accelerate and farm extremely quickly. Your Mirana, your Anti-Mage, hell, even your Axe is doing pretty well. How does Flipside put on the brakes?
Smoke gangs, they need to find pickoffs, maybe try and go for Roshan at some point, because they have these big teamfight tools. They should be able to take a good fight. they just haven't found a way to actually initiate, because as you can see, friends, they have so many mobile heroes that it's hard to catch them. Like, you don't have a blink initiator apart from the Bat Rider, and he doesn't want to go in unless he has a sure follow-up from his team.
Alright, arrow
May
coming out
find
from
the
the
Mirana though. Oh, don't jump it. Don't slideshow. It's not real. It's all fake. It's a lie.
Everyone's moving forward here. Mirana's double damaged. Still half duration on that, so Sadoy, I mean, he's itching. He wants to go for that Chronosphere. He's going to catch out one just Afterlife. And now there's going to be the Naga to try to re-engage here. They're not backing out. They're just resetting. So they are eventually going to leave, but maybe no fear gets caught here. Just to support Naga, she did her part. She was able to get off her song. Now they've got vision for days. Not going to be sliding away. So free kill goes the way of Flipside, but not detrimental. They didn't get the target they wanted.
It's still fine, you know, because friends, sure, you lost a hero, so you can always say that Flipside, they got something for it, but in the meantime, the Jakir is farming the bottom lane. He's trying to get his veil. He may be caught down here, though, as he's alone, and the Bat Rider can easily kill him, so this could be a big kill for Flipside, just getting another solo kill, but Undershot comes in. Oh
yeah.
Low.
Shot slow, a little bit of lack of map vision here. The overall Radiant map vision is not so great. I mean, they've got like one lane ward here. They've got a couple of sentries and attempts to deward, but they've really got to get those obs up before they try initiating into a jungle where the rest of the team is off the map.
Yeah, and back to the point of the top lane, like, this is why I just feel like the Naka versus the Antimate, it's so hard for the Void to do anything this game.
Alright, so here we've just got a big old mess as friends allow their Jakira to finally lay down that Macropyre. They are able to pick off the Faceless Void very easily with the help of that Mirana, and just Tower just going to be burning down. 4 points in Liquid Fire is not easy to go up against. Afterlife continuing to zone out, misses the call, but still applies that pressure. Jakiro gets the tower kill. Ice Path not catching any heroes. Seems like that's going to be the retreat call for friends. They don't want to overstay their welcome. They learned their lesson last time.
Yep, I have a hard time believing what Flipsides can actually do to turn this around, because every single time they try to find an engagement, unless they find the Nagasard in the Chronosphere, they will never get a kill with the Chrono. And, you know, Lasso plus Chrono, that's the initiation tools. That's what they rely on to get kills with this lineup. And if the Nagasard is always, like, next to people who get jumped on, you know, he presses his button and then suddenly no team fight whatsoever from Flipside, and that's to actually rely on the right clicks.
Alright, now again, big farm. These stacks going to be cleaned up by Afterlife. What's he looking for here? Finishing off the Crimson Guard?
I imagine he will go for Falstaff now, just so they can continue being mobile. Just, you know, making sure that you can be everywhere on the map. Falstaff against the Bat Rider is decent. He could also go for something like a Lotus Orb or a Lincoln Sphere against the Lasso, I guess. But I would still say Falstaff is probably going to be like the first item he decides to go for.
Alright, so moving in, everyone continuing to farm up. We've reached another little stalemate here. No team actively continuing to go for those smoke ganks, continuing to try to get something done. What are we waiting on here? What's the next big engage going to be?
I imagine that Flipside wants to do a desperation smoke move now, because as you can see, Sadoy, he's super on the farm at this point. He does have a blink available now, so he did decide to go for the blink I talked about earlier. Which means, you know, they're banking on now. They don't want to wait 10-15 minutes more. They want to be able to do as much work as possible now, and Tamar Wild, you know, drops the hammer.
Alright, nice little first hit bash there from the anti-mage. They get something in return. The Ice Path just going to be going in. Sadoy, he's still hunting. He pops the Chrono.
Oh.
Ain't getting shit out of that. Now there's going to be that reinitiation there from the Naga
the
Siren.
call.
The call's going to be at the ready. Afterlife is going to just let it rip. Now 3 heroes stuck up. The Oracle trying to do what they can to actually get some revenge onto Afterlife, but there will be the burning down of the Bat Rider, as well as getting down that Faceless Void. Ice Path doesn't connect onto Vanscore, but Yoku and friends just go in and shred him. OD, the lone survivor here, just sitting back in the base, watching the world burn as friends come out with a vengeance.
I mean, you know, the first thing that happens is that Novi actually dodges the Chronosphere with his what's it called, his mirror image. He gets right on the edge of the Chronosphere, and then, you know, Song of the Siren, they are standing 3 people next to each other, and the setup is just beautiful.
Alright, Alright, so Friends gaining a bit more momentum now, almost doubling up the kill score. It's going to be really heavily in favor of them in terms of XP. The levels are starting to stack up. 14,000 XP in favor of the Dire. Similar story with net worth. So there's big items here. You look at the net worth of this anti-mage. I mean, he's just carrying his team on his shoulders right now. 406. One of anti-mage's most important things. He just can't die in the laning phase, and he didn't. So he's got a good start to himself. He's now got a completed Abyssal on top of Manta Battle Fury. If you're Flipside, is your top priority the anti-mage, or do you have to focus the Mirana? What's going down here?
I think you have to focus heroes like the Mirana as well as the Axe first, because the anti-mage is very, very hard to kill. And now
oh, smoke gank coming in. They are going to get the lasso here. Undershock will get caught up. Always going to fly. Trying to do his part. Undershock is still alive. No heroes down. And there is no Chrono on the Faceless Void. So Friends right now, they're using Afterlife as a frontliner, trying to focus down the Roshan. They are able to do so. They do end up losing their Axe. But can they turn this fight around? Yoku ready to drop the Abyssal, drop in the base. Looks like he is trying to pick his target. Time Dilation comes out. Always want to fly. Could be in a little bit of trouble. Is the arrow going to fly on through? Mirana doesn't catch anyone. Sadoi continuing his pursuit of this lowly support Jakiro, but there's going to be bigger targets taken down. The Oracle falls easily. Tame My Wild now trying to clean up the illusion spam. The rest of the Radiant trying to figure out, do we try to go for bigger picks or do we try to leave in triumph here? The arrow not going to connect. Oh, Shachlo gets clipped, sits in the macro pyre and does get burned. Now Yoku does lose the Aegis. That's going to be a nice little respawn on him, but can he actually turn things around? The net comes out, does break Void's Linken's Ice Path off the mark. Now the respawn Yoku, he's hunting, he's got that Abyssal in 3 seconds. Naga Song to reset. Dual Breath
arrow
comes in, connects the arrow. Not gonna connect, a little bit of miscommunication on canceling that song. Now blink forward there as Sadoi tries to do his best, but it looks like he will be picked off as well. Everyone is dead. Oracle, the first to fall in that fight, respawns to see the tail end of it. But either way, 5 heroes down, costing only an Aegis for Friends. Really great communication for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so far ahead at this point. They were 12,000 net worth ahead before this fight started. They did lose the Axe before they picked up the Aegis, but as you can see, when you're this far ahead and your heroes just naturally do so well at resetting fights, like Flipside, they rely on the Chronos plus the the lasso to set up fights, but Friends, they can reset it very easily and they can keep on fighting. Like, they can spam spells every couple of seconds, no problem, and it's just too much for Flipside to handle at this point.
Those towers melting very quickly. There's Yoku's jump. There is going to be that Batrider lasso, but it's on a Manta illusion. Doesn't even catch the real boy, who's currently shredding apart this tier 3. Dual Breath comes out onto Roger. He's slow. He's netted in place. They're really just doing that to prevent him from re-engaging. Axe, again, going to be the frontliner. Well, Yoku, Mirana, the real damage comes in, and they work on these racks. Easy pickups here. Godlike streak now for Yoku. Moonlight Shadow to spell the retreat. But maybe they just continue to harass these racks. Yoku not feeling a whole lot of pressure. He doesn't have an Aegis anymore, but he's got 4,000 gold. He's got buyback. He's got enough for his next big item. And everyone else is still up and fighting fit.
Yep, Friends, they get the bottom set of racks, they get a couple more kills, and they're still ready to keep on going. You can see that the anti-mage just picks up a casual Linken Sphere, so he doesn't have to worry about the lasso ever again. He doesn't have to worry about the Hex, which is soon completed on Tame Our Wild. He should have spotted that out anyways, and Tame Our Wild, he may be in trouble. Maybe.
He's just trying to get a little bit of free space there. Abyssal is dropped. There's an ulti. God, that is so brutal against the OD. That Mana Void just plunked him down.
That's some pain right there. So, you know, another kill going to the side of Friends, and they're just not giving up anything. They're now 25,000 ahead. They have items on everyone. They picked up the gem from the Ogre as well, so they don't have any way to actually come back with Vision on the side of Flipside. And if you look at the damage, like, the only damage they have on their heroes is the OD's right clicks, because Sadoi, he's pretty much an offlane at this point. Like, he's an offlane void at best, because Linken Sphere, Blink, you know, it's not like he's gonna right click so much.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have Flipside desperately trying to make any sort of move outside their base. Batrider playing forward once again, but even if he goes, even if he lassos the highest value target, where's the follow-up damage? I mean, you've got your Void not hitting too hard. You've got your OD scared to push up too far because he's been punished in the past. He's still dead right now. Undershock goes in, drops that double Starstorm, and Oh god, there's a call in Sadoy. He has the time walk away, he has the return chrono. He's actually walking forward. He goes in, tries to get a really aggressive chrono, but there's gonna be a Naga song holding everyone in place once again. Void just can't get off these free chronos. He's consistently punished. There's an arrow and a call. It's all going downhill. Batrider trying to get away. He's netted in place. Yoku, oh man, he is just getting Lincolns and Lotus Orbed, and he is just a killing machine at this point. 1207, 2,500 gold on top of that brand new Lincoln Sphere he picked up for this fight. And now there's going to be a blink in. Vanscore is going to be saved out by that Astral, but dropped immediately after he comes out, stuck in the ice path, picked off by the Naga Siren, and it looks like we could be moments away from a GG. There's a Macropyre keeping everyone in their place as this Jakiro has an Aghanim Scepter to boot. It's just dirty now as the tier 3 and the racks are going to be crumbling. Tier 4 is most likely next on the menu as Friends look to close this one out in a clean 2-0.
Yeah, this is the end, right? There's no coming back from this. Timberwald goes to the buyback, but it's inevitable at this point. So Friends, they just played very well. I would say though that both games, Friends draft just looked a lot better than Flipside. It looked like Flipside would have struggles with the draft alone. So apart from Friends just playing very well in both games, I would say that Flipside, they kind of had issues from the draft to begin with.
Yeah, I mean the follow-up from the Chronosphere just wasn't there, and finally the GG comes out as Flipside rollover. They can't take it anymore. So this will be a 2-0 series for Friends. They did very, very well, scoring themselves points to seed up nicely in the Beyond the Summit Series EU. Now up next, we've got ourselves a big one. I'm very excited for our next matchup. It's going to be a best-of-2 series between Escape and Yellow Submarine. Hopefully you guys want to stick around for that one. It's going to be me, AnneeDroid, casting along with my buddy Mad Kings. So don't go too far. It should be up in just a couple of minutes. See you guys soon.